What if the key to unlocking your brightest future lies buried in the shadows of your past? Hi, friends. If we don't yet know each other, my name is Mark, and I don't know about you, but I used to struggle with living up to my fullest potential in many areas of my life. And it's my mission to give you the healing resources you may not have even realized you were looking for. So I'm going to break down my 4-stage process that's changed my life and is working magic for hundreds of others. So how did I figure all of this out? Well, like I said, I've been there for many years, not living up to my full potential. And this led me to feeling not great about myself, specifically when it came to things like my intimate relationships, keeping my health goals on track, as well as being able to put the kind of energy and authentic voice into my career that I knew I had deep down inside, but I just wasn't seeing the results of, despite all of the manifestation mantras I was saying to myself in front of the mirror. I think you get the picture. It was like my dreams were in there somewhere, but they just weren't coming to the surface, despite everybody else on Instagram seemingly crushing it except for me. So after a series of poor life choices and painful breakups, I devoted my life to cracking the secret code and making huge breakthroughs as to what was actually holding me back from having a loving and peaceful relationship, a genuine appreciation for myself, and the financial success in my life that I knew I deserved. Spoiler alert, it was me who was holding me back. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to repeat the same mistakes that I did on your path to getting what you want. Let's get into how exactly I can help you actually walk into a life that's worth living with the characters you'll actually enjoy spending your precious time with. Hell, you might even decide to move to Austin and start your own podcast. Whatever it is that's calling you in, it's available now. The trick is, though, those things you want are only truly attainable when you do your inner work. And I'm not talking about just going to a sound bath or going to another ayahuasca retreat. No, I'm talking about deep inner work that you can actually and simply integrate into your life and your relationships right now. You got big dreams, and yet you spend most of your time kind of dazed and thinking a lot, or you're either scrolling on your phone, watching Netflix, or getting caught up with the same people, cringy dating apps. And you want to make a serious shift in your life and have more supportive and harmonious relationships. At least filling your days with belly laughs, exotic travel, and that feeling you get when you're singing in the shower or you just had some great sex. I want to dive now into the 4-step magical process that I call the shadow code. So step number 1, awareness. Through a series of targeted questions and hypnosis exercises, we're going to discover the unconscious patterns and beliefs that have been silently shaping your behaviors in the background. This is where we identify them and acknowledge the hidden stories, emotions, all of those things that have kept you stuck in cycles of pain, fear, and unsafety. Kind of sounds simple, but I can't tell you how many people aren't even aware of their real problems or where they originate from. Hint, hint, childhood. So don't underestimate this step. It's profound. And even for those of you who've done some inner child work, you don't know what you don't know. So that's all I'll say about that. For example, my client Natalie was able to recognize that her fear of rejection from her boyfriend and the subsequent cheating on her part, the shame that it caused her, was rooted in childhood experiences of neglect she experienced when her father left her home. It gave rise to her need for validation from men and the lack of attraction she felt to the right men. So this is all great, and the awareness is important. It's definitely the beginning of the healing process, but it's definitely not the end in my book. And that's because on this level, it's still happening in the mind, right? So that brings us to step number 2 in the process, emotional release. This step takes us deeper into the heart and into the body. And in my experience, I find that people have an easier time talking about their problems, but then get stuck when it comes to accessing them deeply in the body. Now, all of this can be done without any contact or any touch. However, because it can be sticky and trauma likes to hide sometimes, it's so important to have a trusted guide when things get dicey in this arena. Spending the last 15 years meticulously watching my yoga students breathe has made me a master in this area. And one of the reasons why this process is so potent, and also the reason why traditional talk therapy is limited in the scope of healing. So in this step, we've created a safe space to access any old emotions, and the right healing environment is fostered deep in your nervous system, allowing your actual physical body to change, and thus your feelings and your thoughts to follow. For example, my client Katie was able to finally grieve and let go of unresolved anger and betrayal from her ex-husband that was having a huge impact on her ability to move forward in healthy partnership with the new boyfriend she was seeing due to these old emotional triggers that were still coming up for her around men. Understanding and bringing awareness to the pain was the first step, but actually accessing the layers of deeper, more delicate emotional soil that need to be tended to and watered is where things start to sprout and growth can take hold, which brings us to the next step, self-compassion and reparenting. So at this point, now you've accessed the deeper traumas, the emotions, but that doesn't necessarily change your relationship to them, the way you care for them. And this is especially true if you've had wounding as a child, which again, all of us have. And so now we understand your story, we've worked through the many heavier emotions, and we can begin to reparent or reprogram your inner child. And by reconnecting with the inner child in the quantum realm, you gently nudge with love, care, and nurture that you might have been lacking in the past. And this allows you to build trust and safety in your subconscious, and thus change the way you think and feel in the present. And again, it's necessary to have a trusted guide hold space for you here at this step, as it's essential to reclaiming your self-worth and building trust, not only in yourself, but with others, and especially if you're a woman, with men. For example, my client, Nikki, found that she was still scared inside from acts of neglect and abuse she experienced with a family member when she was just 4 years old. She thought she had gotten over it with plant medicine, and yet she found out that these experiences had been silently shaping her worldview and her choices she was making in attracting emotionally unavailable men for virtually the last 40 years of her life. And last but not least, and why this system is like no other on the planet, integration. In the final stages, we begin to intentionally integrate the specific shadowy parts of ourselves that have come up into the light of our deepest unconditional love and acceptance. Easier said than done, I know. But since we've taken the time to really pull apart and make a case for deleting the programs that are no longer serving you or falsely keeping you safe, now we're ready to bring out your gifts, courage, and heart, thus actually creating safety in your body once and for all. And we seal the deal with a more affirming, personalized, hypnotic recording based on your soul's specific work in this life that's designed to be listened to regularly. And because of this, is scientifically shown to actually rewire the neurons in your brain, thus changing your thoughts and therefore changing your choices and therefore changing your life in the present moment, one moment at a time, one choice at a time. I assure you, if you follow this program, you will be given every ounce of your power back, and you're free to shine like the bright star seed you are when you came here into this time-space reality in the first place. For example, my client Alice is now living her dream life in Maui. She's reconnected with an old flame and is pursuing her dream career and acting on a new level and making big moves in the world. So proud of you, Alice. So I just want to acknowledge that at this point, you're probably a little skeptical or scared. And I was too when I first started my healing journey. But depending on where you're at in your life, as the saying goes, at a certain point, the risk is not the work you'll do, but the stagnation you'll experience from not stepping forward on the path that Source has intended for you. I am the man I am today because of the healing journey I underwent through a painful divorce, being a single father with 2 young daughters, and struggling to find my authentic voice in the world, to now being fully and finally committed in a happy and loving partnership with a thriving and growing family with 1 more daughter on the way, providing for my family with a strong sense of purpose and a calling that I love waking up to, and that keeps me dedicated in service to humanity and the greater good. If it weren't for these certain roadblocks or shadows that I met along the way, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to find the strength to bring me forward to where I needed to go. Thankfully, I decided to go all in on my healing journey, And it's my commitment to you that if you're willing to fully choose yourself in this, you can have everything you want to. I promise, if we determine that we're a good fit for each other, I will do my part and hold your hand through the ups and downs of this process. This year, I'm only taking on a select few clients who are ready to go all in on the transformative journey of building your life to the greatest health, abundance, and beautiful relationships, and most importantly, the relationship you have with yourself. So if this sounds good to you, reply back to me with the words self-love, and we'll start your healing journey by scheduling a free intro call just to get to know each other and answer any questions you might have. All right? So see you on the other side. Much love, my friend.